How the Ostrich Got Its Long Neck, retold by Verna Aardema, illustrated by Marcia Brown. Long, long ago, when the earth was set down and the sky was lifted up, the ostrich had a short neck. It was most inconvenient, for he had to sit down to catch insects on the ground, and he could not reach berries that were high on the bushes. Also, when he went to the river, he had to spread his legs wide apart in order to take a drink. But there was a crocodile in the river, and one morning when the clouds were still pink from the sunrise, Crocodile woke up with a terrible toothache. Crocodile swam swiftly down the river looking for help, her tears dripping into the water with tiny splashes. Tick, tick, tick. Soon Crocodile saw Kudu at the river's edge, lapping, lop, lop, lop. Crocodile called, "Hiya, Kudu, will you take a look at my teeth? I have a terrible toothache, and maybe you could pry out the bad tooth with one of your long, twisted horns." Fish Eagle, who was circling above the river, cried, "Quack, quack, don't do it, don't do it!" At the first quack, ducks who were feeding on the shallow side of the river skittered across the water, flapping gawk, 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 to get their airborne parrots. Hornbills and finches in the nearby trees flew off too. And Kudu galloped away, kaputu, kaputu, kaputu. Further on, Crocodile saw a baboon with a baby on her back, bending over the water's edge. Crocodile called, "Hiya, Mama Baboon, will you take a look at my teeth? I have a terrible toothache, and maybe you could dig out the bad tooth with your sharp claws." Fish Eagle, who had followed the crocodile, called, "Quack, quack, don't do it, don't do it!" Mama Baboon ran off, zack, zack-a-dee-lack, with her tail curled over her back and the baby clinging to her with all of his baby strength. Crocodile swam on, her tears dripping into the water with tiny splashes. Tick, tick, tick. Further on, it happened that the short-necked ostrich was drinking by the edge of the river. Crocodile called, "Hiya, Ostrich, will you take a look at my teeth? I have a terrible toothache, and I'm sure you could pull out the bad tooth with your strong beak." Ostrich backed away. He wanted nothing to do with the crocodile. "Please help me," begged Crocodile. "I won't hurt you." Ostrich moved a little closer. Crocodile paddled to the water's edge and opened her big mouth. A shiver of fear ruffled Ostrich's fluffy coat. Fish Eagle called out, "Quack, quack, don't do it, don't do it!" Ostrich backed further away. Crocodile cried harder than before. This awakened pity in Ostrich's heart, and he cautiously inched his way back to Crocodile, and again Crocodile opened her mouth. Ostrich began tapping one tooth after another. Tick, tick, tick. "Is this the one that hurts?" he would ask. "Is this the one?" Each time Crocodile said, "Uh-uh, uh-uh, uh-uh." The big bird's head went deep into Crocodile's mouth. Suddenly, Crocodile remembered that she had no breakfast. She clamped down her jaws, quack-a-back, trapping Ostrich's head. "Let me out!" cried Ostrich's muffled voice. "Let me out!" Elephant was bathing nearby. "Eek!" he squealed. "Crocodile's pulling on Ostrich's head off!" Fish Eagle called from above, "Pull, Ostrich, pull!" Ostrich planted his big feet in the sod on the riverbank and pulled. He pulled and pulled and pulled. Crocodile pulled too, but in the opposite direction. Ostrich backed up, but Crocodile did not budge, and as Ostrich backed away, his neck stretched longer and longer and longer. Ostrich dragged the big crocodile right out of the water, The hot sun beat down on Crocodile's back and made her tooth hurt worse than before. When Crocodile finally opened her mouth to say, "Put me back in the water," Ostrich escaped. He ran a little way and then he stopped. Something was not right. The ground seemed much further away, but he could reach it easily. And the berries high on a nearby bush were right within his reach. What was different? Ostrich wondered. And then he knew. His neck had become long, very, very long. He flapped his wings in delight. Then he strutted off with his head held high. Tuck-pick, tuck-pick, tuck-pick. And since that time, ostriches have stayed in the bush, far from the river. And for now, even the youngest ostrich knows better than to trust a hungry crocodile. This tale was told to Bill Gord, of a New York City schoolteacher and storyteller during his recent travels in Kenya. The Akamba man who gave him the story said his grandmother had often told it to him. He also said the word Kenya, which is pronounced Kenya, means the place where there are ostriches. How the ostrich got its long neck is a pourquoi story. Pourquoi is a French word that means why. This type of story usually describes how an animal or a person came to have a particular characteristic or how a certain natural phenomenon came to be. This story is similar to The Elephant's Child, which is in the book called Just So Stories by Rudyard Kipling. And here are some more pourquoi stories you will enjoy.